Well, the NFL Combine gets underway here in Indianapolis this week, and all eyes are on several quarterbacks. This as the Chicago Bears have reportedly decided to trade the #1 overall pick. Friend of the show, Derek Schultz of Query and Schultz, joins us now with more on this. Derek, good to see you, sir. Should the Colts get involved in this and try to trade for that #1?
Phil, only if they are absolutely head over heels in love with one of the 4 quarterback prospects do you give up what you have to get up to move 3 spots and trade with the Bears. I'm a big believer in that if your guy is your guy, go get your guy. And I know that I'm not unique in that sort of viewpoint, but I think there is a lot of concern here that there's really not much of a difference between Richardson, Stroud, Young, and maybe a little bit of a drop-off down to Levis. But those are the consensus top 4 guys in whatever order that you want to put them. But unless you are in love with one of those 4 guys, I don't think you trade up to #1 to go get your guy.
You being an expert on sports talk, okay, so I want to ask you, should they do this, in your opinion? Should they? I know from the perspective of if they have that idea, hey, this is our guy, let's go get him. But is this a smart move if they do it? Because like you said, they're all very similar, all the quarterbacks.
It's a smart move if you're convinced that this is your guy. That's how I know that's kind of a cop-out to the answer, Phil, but I guess my counter to that would be, does anybody remember what the Chiefs gave up for Patrick Mahomes?
Right, but there was no Patrick Mahomes in this draft.
Well, but we didn't know at the time that Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes in that draft, right? So I think the same can be said of this group. I mean, could Anthony Richardson be an all-pro player? Yeah, sure he could. Could C.J. Stroud? Absolutely. Could Bryce Young? I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Right. Yeah, any of these guys could turn out to be the next star. But
so it's tough. It's tough to really know. But if in your evaluation process you have convinced yourself that one quarterback has separated himself from everyone else and you can't sleep at night without getting that guy, then I think you do what you have to do to trade up with Chicago to get your guy.
Okay, so let's say they do want one of these guys, okay? What are they going to have to give up to get that #1 pick?
I saw a trade package today that was, obviously they're going to have to give up the #4 pick, right, in any of these scenarios. But the #4 this year, a #2, and a #4 from this year, and then next year's 1, and then the 2025 second rounder.
No way. No way. No, you don't do that. That is insane. That's crazy talk. That's nuts.
If you think that's your guy, you better be right, Phil, right? You better be right, because there are jobs on the line here. Chris Ballard, he's made it through a lot. He ain't going to make it through this. If they don't get this quarterback thing right, he is not going to survive that. So not only do you have to be convinced that he's your guy, you have to be convinced that he's going to be absolutely foolproof, the right guy for you.
Okay, so out of the 4 that you mentioned, who do you think they should go with?
I like the idea of really any of the top 3, Stroud, Young, and Richardson under Shane Steichen, because he's worked with different quarterbacks, and especially with Jalen Hurts, he's been able to kind of improve some things on the fly and maximize the strengths while working on the weaknesses. And I think with Anthony Richardson, you can maximize his strengths, his mobility, his athleticism, while working on the weaknesses, his mechanics, his footwork, et cetera. And I think you could do the same thing with Bryce Young, who has some height limitations. And, any of these guys are going to have a learning curve, jumping from college to the NFL. To me, it's really between Young, Stroud, and Richardson. Gun to my head, I think the safest way is to go with Stroud, because I think he's the most NFL ready and probably has the highest floor. But the highest ceiling and the most intriguing of those, I think, is Richardson. But you've got to teach him how to play quarterback.
It's not Richardson. It's Will Levis. The guy's 6'5", 240 pounds. He can run like a train. He's got a cannon for an arm. I can't believe you don't have him in your top 3.
I don't.
Why?
He's my 4th guy.
He's from Connecticut, where you're from.
Will Levis could absolutely be a high-level NFL star. I saw some comparisons that said Matthew Stafford. If Will Levis ends up being Matthew Stafford, then that's fantastic. That's probably like a high-end expectation for him. But, Matt Stafford is a Pro Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback, right? You would sign up for Will Levis as Matthew Stafford. But to me, Phil, all of these guys are fairly similar, so we're kind of splitting hairs. But Stroud impressed me the most, especially what he did in that Georgia game. I think Richardson has the most exciting skill set and the highest ceiling.
One more question about this before I let you go. Are you concerned about Young's size? I'm a small guy. I know you are too. I always root for the smaller guys. But when it comes to this position, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, me too, because you have a sample size of one. When you talk about small quarterbacks who have really succeeded at an elite level, it's in modern history, it's Drew Brees, and that's it. And so there absolutely should be a concern about his size. But you look at what he did at Alabama, and you look at some of the things that you can teach for him. You can't teach height, right? That's not going to change. Yeah. But the areas where he can improve, and I think he has potentially a very exciting future as an NFL quarterback. He
does look good. I mean, you can't argue with the success. Derek Schultz, by the way, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending it with us.
Appreciate it. We had a great weekend. We had a great weekend, so I was able to have a free Monday night to hang out with you, Phil.
Good. I heard your wife knocked it out of the park for you and did a really good job, so that's good stuff. Happy birthday. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, man.